a real estate and finance expert that goes to bat for you every day as a consumer advocate. Your host and the consumer quarterback, Brandon Rhymes.
All right, welcome to the show. Thanks for tuning in. We appreciate you supporting the program, all of our local area expert contributors, and thank you so much for the calls. We had an uptick in calls last week. Appreciate everybody reaching out to the show, to the hotline. We got Michael Emdy in the house, Massive IT. He's our tech expert, all thing technology. We're going to talk AI, robotics, and all that good stuff here coming up on the show. Jenny Restrepo as well, Insured Title Company later on. We're going to talk about latest MLS stats. Some of the new numbers just came out and some other data here on the Consumer Quarterback Show. We got a hot new listing over in St. Petersburg Beach I want to let you know about on 4th Palm Point. Beautiful property. I love this listing. Waterfront. You can take your golf cart to the beach, walk to the beach. 6441 4th Palm Point. This one is 3 bedrooms, 2 bath, 2280 square feet. The location on Boca Ciega Bay. Waterfront, almost has that infinity view from your swimming pool in the backyard. Looking out, you got your boat dock, your boat. Beautiful home here in Tampa Bay. And this property has a spacious kitchen for entertaining, opens up to the dining room, living room, family room, which is cozy, has a cozy wood-burning fireplace, barrel tile roof, so those last almost forever, to 2017. You've got hurricane-rated windows, great opportunity, 75 feet of water frontage here. So if you're looking for that Florida lifestyle, living on the beach, living in a single-family home close to the beach, beautiful home here, 3-bedroom, 2-bath, 2280 square feet, 6441 4th Palm Point, St. Pete Beach. Great opportunity here in beautiful Tampa Bay. One of our hot real estate listings from the Platinum MVP team. 5422 Glen Ivy Place North as well. That's another listing that we have here. We've got 60 listings. We also have some other commercial properties, vacant land as well. 5422 Glen Ivy Place North, Pinellas Park. This one is immaculate and affordable 2-bedroom, 2-bath home with a garage right here. This is in Springwood Villas community. Everything's close to St. Pete. Has a modern update, stainless steel appliances, brand new fridge, reverse osmosis system. Great opportunity to own real estate. Beautiful community pool, huge community pool there as well. Glen Ivy Place North in Pinellas Park. You can see all of our listings at PlatinumCoastalElite.com. Check out PlatinumCoastalElite.com.
Yeah, I'm racing my class to those saving our ass overseas.
All right. Quick shout out to our friends over at Brio Tuscan Grill, International Plaza Mall. We have our party going on there. We're doing our monthly gratitude parties. We're bringing it back. We're doing more networking. So come out and meet some of our radio show personalities, expert contributors. 2223 North West Shore Boulevard in Tampa. This is Thursday, January 18th, coming up on 6 p.m. Come on out, hang out, happy hour. And we'll have appetizers there going on. Meet some of our show partners from the Platinum MVP team, Living in Coastal Elite, Keller Williams Realty, and the Consumer Quarterback Show. And quick shout out to Brio Tuscan Grill, by the way. Excellent food. I love their salmon over there. It's just amazing. Of course, they've got the pasta dishes, some great chickens. They got the lamb chop appetizer. Oh, that's so good. I had those lamb chops last week when I was meeting a client there. Brio Tuscan Grill, International Plaza Mall. Let them know the real estate quarterback sent you. Take them up on those special offers and incentives. Free appetizer incentive, by the way. Talk to Chef Oscar Ramirez or Joey, who's the general manager there at Brio Tuscan Grill, International Plaza Mall. Let them know the real estate quarterback sent you. All right, Michael Emdy, welcome back to the show.
Thank you. Making me hungry with all these lamb chops.
I know, right? Those are so good, man.
Let's go.
It's a tasty, I know, right? Tasty. All right, so Massive IT. A lot going on in the world of IT, man. It seems like whenever you kind of look at the news, you're clicking around here and there, you're seeing another hacking situation, data loss situation, and of course AI is just this ever expanding, growing kind of idea out there, artificial intelligence.
Yeah, we had a customer who was just compromised, and the compromise was emails were intercepted. It was $1 million wire transfer.
Wow.
And it had a callback number. And the callback number, we suspect right now, we're still researching it, went back to a automated, voice over text sort of situation. So an AI generated response, because the CFO called back to validate the account credentials, and they were validated. So they had reasonable confidence that they could make this wire transfer.
Wow.
And so right now we have some clues that it may have been AI generated and responded to.
That is amazing.
Yeah.
Amazing and scary at the same time.
Automating the whole hack, right?
Right.
They sent the emails, intercepted it, put in the wrong credentials, put in a phone number. Hey, give us a call. We'll validate it. Like, don't send this money until you call.
That's the rule.
That's the rule, right?
Yeah.
And even in the email, it says, don't send us money. You know, the attacker said, don't send us money until you call us
Right.
and validate these credentials, right? Make
Wow.
sure they're right.
Yeah.
Because we want to get our money.
Yeah.
And so the CFO did what they should have done, and following protocol, called the number and said, yeah, I want to validate this SWIFT code and this, bank account number and the dollar amount and everything. And they said, yeah, that is correct. On the other end of the phone, the attacker said, that is correct. Send the money.
A couple questions come to mind. I mean, could they tell that it was an artificial person? What if they said, who won the Super Bowl last year? Or I guess they could look that one up too. But how would
they could, right?
Yeah, right. How
it
would
answers.
So what's the question, or what's the question I should be asking then? Is how could they ask them a curveball question to verify it? Is that even the protocol to try?
Yeah, it's becoming challenging, and that's where critical thinking really comes into play. Is the real giveaway, the tell here was that the email contained the bank account details, the dollar amount, and the phone number to call.
Wow.
Right, and the CFO had no prior relationship with that company.
Right,
but they called in good faith to a vendor and validating these credentials, this wire transfer for a significant dollar amount, and that didn't occur. I mean, maybe you could say, what city do you live in, or who's my manager, or who's our CEO, or something like that, which potentially AI could answer. Right, but it's tough.
You almost need to have something agreed to ahead of time between your internal staff, if that were a situation, some type of a word. But man, so the point here is, folks, that if you own a business, you're in this situation, and your IT, your tech side of your business is not tightened up, we want you reaching out to Michael, MD. I mean, that is an interesting story, Michael.
Yeah, so we're driving them towards new processes, and that's really vendor onboarding as a process. And even for small businesses, it sounds like overkill. But is it overkill if you've cut a check for $100, $1,000, $10,000, $100,000 to a vendor, even in a small business?
Right.
For inventory, for services, whatever that may be. So we're driving them towards a new vendor onboarding process, which establishes kind of a protocol, as well as maybe even as far as a safe word, as ridiculous as that might sound.
Right. Yeah, real estate closing would be another application for this, where I could see that, being very challenging. But my question also comes into, from an insurance standpoint, like, is this covered under an insurance policy? And if so, who's backing it, and do they know about this technology?
Yeah. Well, you say insurance, and it's been interesting because the insurance companies, we get these questionnaires for cyber insurance from our clients who want us to answer on their behalf, because they're reading all this terminology, this technical terminology, XDRs and SIMs and MDRs and SOCs and all these different things, and the client says, what the heck is all this stuff?
Right.
Can you guys answer it for us? And so we go through it, and from that, we identify where they have some shortcomings. But the interesting thing is it used to be 4 questions from the insurance company.
Right.
Now it's 40 questions.
Wow.
And the questions were as simple before as, do you have a firewall? Do you have antivirus? Now the questions are, what kind of firewall?
Right.
Make, model, is it under support? Is it under warranty? Which antivirus software do you have on your computer? Is it Microsoft? Is it AVG? Is it Trend Micro? Is it Symantec? What is it? They want to know, right? Very specific questions that they're asking. So it leads you into a situation where if you say, oh, yeah, check, I have a firewall. Yeah, it doesn't matter. It's irrelevant. It's actually leading you into a legal situation that you can paint yourself into a corner, that if you answered yes to these questions, and then you have an incident and you report it and make a claim, the adjusters will come back and say, well, show me that firewall that you said 2 years ago that you had, on here on paper.
Yeah.
If you don't have it, they're going to say, denied.
Yeah.
Insurance fraud.
Yeah, absolutely. By the way, when you mentioned the software, the antiviruses, remind me of McAfee guy. Remember that case? Did you see that documentary on that
John
guy?
McAfee, yeah.
Wow, what an interesting documentary. If you haven't seen that, it might be something you want to check out. But yeah, interesting that he took off down to the somewhere in the Caribbean, was it, or South
Belize
America?
or something, right?
Yeah, it was an interesting scenario there. We're talking with Michael MD, Massive IT here. He's a tech expert on the show. Some of the simple things that you can do are something like two-factor authentication, adding that to your...
Yeah, minimum that everyone should have. Even your bank, personally is forcing this on you. Other systems that you log into, Facebook, Twitter, whatever it is, they're all offering you, do you want to enable two-factor, right?
Right.
And the answer is yes, you do. You want to enable two-factor. And that could be in the form of a text message. It could be in the form of a robocall, right, calling you and giving you a number or asking you to press 1 for yes or validate who you are, right? All of these things, mandatory minimum things if you want to stay safe and secure.
Right. Yeah, absolutely. And, you also think about how often are you changing your passwords. These are, some of the ideas to think about. But, yeah, that insurance question, is that type of thing covered? That's an interesting one to ponder.
The general consensus right now in the industry is passwords are useless. Passwords are everywhere. If you've logged into Target.com, Lowe's.com, wherever.com, you're probably, human nature, reusing the same password.
Right.
Right? Most 90+% of the population is using the same password in 2 or more sites, 2 or more systems, 2 or more accounts.
Sure.
So if one of those gets compromised, that password's exposed, and now, for most people, all of your stuff is exposed.
Got it.
They can go from Amazon to Netflix to Lowe's to Citigroup to Chase to Bank of America to wherever, financial institutions, whatever services you have, and log in with your credentials.
Wow.
So if you don't have 2FA, right, two-factor authentication,
Yep.
then they are going to get into those systems, because at least if you have that and they log in with your password, if they do get your password, they still can't get in because they don't have the code
Exactly.
from your phone.
Yeah. Such a smart thing to do. Got to do that, folks.
100%.
Let's take a quick break. Coming back, more with Michael MD, Massive IT's our tech expert here on the Consumer Quarterback Show. We're going to talk a little bit about artificial intelligence, some of the challenges, threats there, as well as what can you do to take control of your IT systems with your business, your personal profiles as well. Michael MD here on the Consumer Quarterback Show, consumerqb.com.
Hey, this is Grant Cardone, and you've been listening to the phenomenal Brandon Rhymes, the Consumer Quarterback Show.
To get in touch with Brandon, call 727-263-3707. Online at consumerqb.com.
Dennis Prager here for Brandon and Lindsay Rhymes, owners of the Platinum MVP team at Keller Williams. Buying, selling, investing in real estate, their nationwide Keller Williams network makes them the best team to work with. Sellers, have your property featured live on air, creating multiple offers. Buyers, leverage a unique system that gets your offer accepted, never overlooked. Call or text 813-750-0550, 813-750-0550, or consumerqb.com.
I want to give a special thanks to Satellite Phone Store. They just hooked me up with this beautiful satellite phone, and it's a gorgeous phone. It's a great device. It's a safety device as well. Think about it. If you're out on the boat 40, 50 miles out, maybe you're going hunting or you're going hiking in the woods somewhere, you run out of cell phone service, or who knows, maybe a possible terrorist attack. It's not like our politicians aren't entrenched in all this stuff going on overseas, all over the place, all over the world. Could be a terrorist attack. They could attack the power grid. They could attack the cell phones. Who knows what they're going to attack next. Sat123.com/REQB. Sat for satellite. Sat123.com/REQB, like real estate quarterback.
You're listening to The Consumer Quarterback, Brandon Rhymes. Online at consumerqb.com. Brandon is Tampa Bay's #1 consumer advocate for real estate and financial advice. Call Brandon today at 813-917-1894.
All right, back here in studio, we got Michael MD in the house, Massive IT, our tech expert for all things business-related, personal computers as well, and helping your business avoid some of these common pitfalls that we find in the tech space. Quick shout-out to our friends over at Discovery Golf Cars, longtime friends of the program. They hooked me up with a beautiful Keller Williams red golf cart, and I love the staff over there. They do a great job. They have new and used golf cars available. EV, they have the EVs. You also have the different types of golf carts can be utilized for recreational, commercial use, Star, EV, Cushman, many different types. DiscoveryGolfCars.com. Let them know the real estate quarterback sent you. DiscoveryGolfCars.com. All right, hot listing here, 2907 North Florida Avenue in Tampa. This one is on a corner lot location close to downtown. This is a great asset because you've got 2 buildings on site, 12,000 square feet, open air space where you have office space. You also have retail. You got a lot of storage. You also have an extra building that's being rented out, kicking off about $6,500 cash flow to you. 2907 North Florida Avenue in Tampa. Strategic location for business success, investment growth there. 2 buildings on site, fresh coat of paint, ample parking spaces, 29 dedicated spots. Great opportunity to own commercial real estate and invest in Tampa Bay. 2907 North Florida Avenue in Tampa. And you can see all of our listings at PlatinumCoastalElite.com.
This is God's country.
All right, we got Michael Emdy in the house. Michael, we talk a lot about AI, artificial intelligence, such a key hot point. You know, they had a big meeting out in D.C. Congress had a meeting there about them and kind of talking about the different possibilities of where this might go. What's your thoughts, just generally speaking, around AI?
I think it's something that we need to be more cognizant of what the future looks like. Where's it going to go? And there's a lot of hype about it's going to displace jobs, it's going to displace technologies or industries. And I think to some degree there's some truth to that. I don't think it's to the extent that it's currently being hyped up as, but it's definitely concerning, and there's definitely going to be an evolution to it. And just like robotics was introduced into manufacturing and things like that, you're going to see AI introduced into, print media, into other things that involve, direct text generative sort of responses.
Right.
And so I think just learning to embrace that at the academic levels for the kids and the schools, in the commercial level with print media and other forms of communications and advertisements and publications, all of those things. It's going to be a tool, and we need to embrace it that way, look at it that way, not so much as a threat, but definitely needs some management and needs some programs, even at the legislative level to be able to absorb that. And we need to put smart people in place at the legislative level, right, government levels, who understand it and who can guide that.
Right.
Because generationally, I think that's a challenge.
Yeah,
right?
it is.
And I'm on the tail end of that myself.
Right.
Is understanding it. I'm fortunately in a position that I do what I do every day, so I have a much better understanding than most people, in my generation.
Yeah. It's kind of interesting too when you explore this area of artificial intelligence and you look at the difference between what happens in Europe and then when it comes to America. It seems like a lot of things happen in Europe first, and sometimes it's nefarious stuff. I mean, you get into the transhumanism type movement. There's a lot there. Bannon's War Room talks a lot about that. But people are putting chips in their bodies. I mean, they're going there. They're doing that, and it's kind of just interesting to see like how far will they take it? How much is convenience? Is it too much convenience or what? There's a lot going on there.
Yeah, I think that happens both ways. Different cultures, different philosophies, different laws, right? Regulations.
Yep.
Some more strict, some not so strict, someone a lot less strict.
Yeah.
So if there's an opportunity for someone to try it, they're going to try it somewhere.
Yeah.
And see what happens. And I think that we just have to have critical thinking is the core of what we're doing.
Yeah.
Right. In politics, in social situations, and society at large. Critical thinking is going to be huge for us to be able to manage these expectations and not just assume that, somebody else will figure it out. It'll be fine. I'm not worried about it, right?
Right.
You should be worried about it. You should be looking out for yourself and doing something at the local levels and, educating your kids, your family, your friends, and being vigilant about what's going on around you in terms of AI and how that impacts you. Just like the story we had about, called back and validated the credentials and ready to go. Send us $1 million.
Yeah. Yeah, it's interesting. And when in that situation, going back to that situation, the recourse there, I don't think there's much recourse once the money's been sent. I mean, it's a challenge because you have a situation where, even the FBI, certain law force entities, they don't want to get involved, especially if it's below a certain dollar amount. They're too busy with other stuff. And then you get into, the other thought that you had as well as both with Congress. You know, a lot of these guys are in their 60s, 70s. They don't really understand technology in general, much less something new, cutting edge as AI.
Yeah. What's the difference, right? It just doesn't click with them what that is and what the implications are, and understanding what all the foundational technologies are and all the emerging technologies around it.
Right.
What is that going to mean?
Yeah.
Because if you start applying all of these concepts, self-driving cars, right, driven by AI, and those AI, entities are making decisions, and who's programming, who's influencing, who's putting the guardrails? What are the guardrails on that AI?
Right.
Is the AI going to be hacked and then told to drive off a cliff?
Right.
You don't know.
Yeah.
Who's doing
Scary.
that? Yeah. Who's making the decision whether to pull a trigger, right, in a military situation?
Yeah.
Right. Is it someone sitting in a trailer in Arizona who's making that decision, or is it an AI system in a data center in Kansas City who's deciding whether to pull a trigger on a robot that's carrying a firearm?
Yeah, exactly.
Right? 1,000 miles away.
Yeah, that's true. Yeah, it's interesting stuff. So, Michael, tell us a little bit about your company here locally, Massive IT, massiveIT.com, and how you can help local businesses.
So we service the small, medium, mid-market, and enterprise businesses around the country. We're nationwide. We also have global reach in Europe and South America, a little bit in APAC, but anywhere from soup to nuts is what we do. Starting from an internet circuit to firewall, networking equipment, Wi-Fi, laptops, desktops, servers, the cloud, all the security, backup that goes with that, telephone systems. We're an outsourced IT department for all intents and purposes.
Right.
And so while we have some verticals and some specializations, we can manage all the tech support, all the procurement. We even have virtual CIO services to advise companies on strategy, on budgeting, on forecasting, on business ideas. We don't just provide tech support. We actually have a program where we can generate business by offering cybersecurity report card to your clients.
Nice.
And by doing so, it brings legitimacy to what you're doing. We partner with different companies who provide services, financial, human resources, and other things, and they're providing these report cards to their clients,
right,
which gives the financial company legitimacy and competency because it looks like they're looking out for the security of their clients.
Exactly.
And so we identify these red, yellow, green sort of areas that need attention, and then that client comes to us and says, hey, I got this report card from my CPA and I failed on 80% of it. What's going on? Can you guys help me?
Right.
And the answer is yes. And then we help them shore up those areas to help prevent transferring $1 million out to, some other place.
Yeah, I can definitely see how that's an advantage, especially today's age. I mean, they talk about this fifth generational warfare. I mean, you can apply that to of course, the way countries interact with each other, businesses interact with each other, the hacking. Mm-hmm. It's definitely an area that you have to be cognizant of, and you got to be as proactive as you can as well, making sure that you are doing all of that.
Yeah, you have to. There's no doubt about it. It used to be we just had a server in the closet, and I changed my password, once a month or once a year, something like that. It doesn't. Those rules don't apply anymore. Those are out the door.
Right. Yeah. So much to think about. All right. How do you want people to connect with you, Michael?
www.massiveit.com and sales@massiveit.com. Shoot us an email.
Email directly, sales@massiveit.com. And, of course, you can see all of his previous episodes on our YouTube channel. We have over 2,500 videos there. YouTube, Brandon Rhymes Realty on YouTube there. Consumer Quarterback Show. You can find it multiple ways. Michael, thanks for coming in. Always great catching up with you, man. Those are good tips there. So get the two-factor authentication. That's the low-hanging fruit. That's the easy thing to do. There you go. Start with that. MassiveIT.com. Michael MD in the house. And follow us online. We'd love to connect with you at Brandon Rhymes1 on Instagram, Twitter, most other sites. At CQB Show as well. You can connect with us on Instagram. Brandon Rhymes Realty on YouTube. We'd greatly appreciate you subscribing. Coming up, Jenny Restrepo in the house. Insured Title Agency in studio. We're going to talk about real estate, market stats, and more. Coming up, Consumer Quarterback Show, consumerqb.com.
Thanks for listening to my daddy's show. Please make sure to send him all of your real estate deals and subscribe to the Consumer Quarterback Show podcast on iTunes and Spotify.